10 things every musician should know. Number 1, dynamics. So I'm sure if you've looked at sheet music before, you've probably seen these. These are what are known as dynamic markings. Now they can look a bit confusing at first, but we'll go ahead and break them down into simpler steps for you to understand. So as we look at our chart here, we can see that there are 3 main letters that are used: P, M, and F. P stands for the Italian word piano, which means soft. M stands for the Italian word mezzo, meaning moderately, and F stands for the Italian word forte, meaning loud. Putting this information together, we can figure out what the dynamics are trying to tell us when we are playing a piece. So PP would of course be very soft. P would just be soft, and MP would be moderately soft. And we can continue this for the F side. So MF would of course be moderately loud, F would be loud, and FF would be very loud. So now we know how to understand dynamics. Number 2, ledger lines. So when we're on our main part of our staff, sometimes we run out of room to notate on the 5 lines that we normally have. What happens then? Well, that's where ledger lines come in. Ledger lines allow us to just extend the staff up as we need for more notes, as seen in the diagram right here. And we read it the exact same way we would on normal staff. So take, for example, if the bottom line of our staff was an F, of course you would take the next 2 lines as A and C. Works the exact same for the ledger line section. If the top note of our staff was an F, the next 2 ledger lines would be an A and a C, making it an easy way to add some more notes to our staff, even when it looks like we can't. Number 3, chords. So these are what chords look like, and you've probably heard these before from maybe someone who plays the piano to sing with, but what exactly are they? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at it here. It's 3 notes, sometimes more, but typically 3 notes played together at the same time. And like I said, this is used often for accompaniment. And taking a look at our graph, you'll see that there's a 1, 4, 5 in Roman numerals. That'll be important here as we move on to our next point. Number 4, the 1, 4, 5, 6 chord progression. The 1, 4, 5, 6 is the most important chord progression in all of Western music. You can find it everywhere, consisting of a 1 tonic chord, a 4 subdominant chord, a 5 dominant chord, and a 6 receptive cadence chord. If you'd like to hear a bit more about this and how it relates to pop music, check out the little card on the screen now. It's a good resource and I think you'll enjoy it. Number 5, classical music. So a lot of people try and classify classical music as anything that's old and has piano or violin. And that's not really the case. There are 3 main categories that people try and group all under classical music. So the first one is the Baroque period, coming first in our timeline, and its main composer was Bach. I'm sure you've heard of him. The second one is classical era, which consisted of 2 main composers, being Beethoven and Mozart. And the third one is the Romantic era, and its main composer of the time was Chopin. Now, after the Romantic era, it's not like all music stopped. The music became a lot more diverse than it was in this era, where it's no longer just a very strict type of music. We now have all different kinds, like we see today. So next time that you're at your social gathering, one of your friends says, "Oh hey, I really like this classical music," you can be like the cool guy on the right and correct him. I'm sure he will absolutely love this. Number 6, clefs. So clefs are what we use to identify what the lines on the staff mean. So left to right, we have the alto clef, also known as the C clef, the bass clef, or the F clef, and the treble clef, or the G clef. So why do they have the second name? Well, let's go over that real quick. It refers to what is their guide note. Their guide note is the easiest note to find that they almost point to. Take, for example, the treble clef, the one on the far right. We can see it has a tiny swoosh at the top and a much bigger swoosh at the bottom. And there is one line that runs directly through the middle of the big swoosh. That line is called a G. And if you take a look at the symbol of a treble clef, you can see that it almost makes up a G. Kind of have to use your imagination, but that's where it gets the name from. Take a look at the middle one, which is the F clef, and you can see that between the two I's is a line, and that line is, well, the F. And there's also a big block on the back of the symbol, and that also rests on the F. And same with the treble clef, you can use your imagination and see this as an F. And the final one is the clef on the left, and it has a line that points to middle C, which is between the two brackets. So now you know how to easily identify where the two guide notes are. Number 7, sharps and flats. So here we are on our piano, and you've probably heard of sharps and flats before, but what exactly are they? Well, take for example the note C, which is over here, and if I was to say C sharp, what it means is go up by one semitone to the next note. So in that case, that would be a C sharp, or of the two black notes, the one on the left. And it can also work for any of the other notes. For example, a G, which is between the three. If I was a G sharp, it would be the middle of the three black notes. That's how the sharps work. And it can also work for the white notes too. So if I was to say a B, which hopefully you know where that is, if I was to say play a B sharp, means go up by one half step, or the next available note, which in that case would be B sharp, or enharmonically a C. I just used a word you might not know there, enharmonically. What does that mean exactly? Well, it's pretty simple. It basically means one note having two different names. Now let's go over flats while we're at it. Flats means to go down a semitone to the next available note. So for example, we take an A, and then we say make it an A flat. So you go down one available note to the next one. So out of the three, that middle one would be an A flat. And then this is where we can apply our term enharmonics again. So if we had a G sharp and an A flat, hopefully now you know where those are, and you might realize that, hey, they have the same note. And that's why we call them the enharmonics sometimes. That even though they have two different names, it's still one note on the piano. And that's how sharps and flats work. But it's kind of be hard to determine which one is which. Does flats go up? Do sharps go down? Here's how I remember. If you were to sit on something sharp, it would probably go up after sitting on it because it would, hurt. But if you were to have a flat tire, your car would probably go down due to the loss of pressure. And it's a pretty good way to think about it and helps you keep them straight in your head. Number 8, 12-tone equal temperament tuning, or 12-tet for short. So if you look at our keyboard here, you can see that there are 12 distinct notes, which is where we get 12-tet from. But what exactly does that mean? Well, each note is spaced out exact same as the next note, so that each one is spaced out perfectly in the 12 notes of an octave. Now there's a lot of history that we can go into and a lot of math, and I won't get into that right now for the purposes of this video. But if this interests you, I recommend you check it out. It's a good watch. Number 9, arpeggios. So if you remember our chords from earlier, I said that they are usually played on top of each other at the same time. Well, sometimes it doesn't always sound quite the best for what we're trying to go for. So instead, we break them up, playing them one at a time. As you can see, it's still chords that they were from earlier, but they're just separated to sound a bit smoother. And this can really help when accompanying someone or improvising. I know I've done that a couple times myself. Number 10, the dampen pedal. So here are the 3 piano pedals, and the one on the right is the dampen pedal. And what does the dampen pedal do? Well, when you hit a key on a piano, it allows the string to vibrate. When you let go of the key, a dampen comes up and stops the string from vibrating. When you press the dampen pedal down, it pulls all the dampeners back and allows all the strings to vibrate. So that's what the pedal on the right does, also known as the dampen pedal. It allows all the strings to vibrate for however long you have it held down for, and as long as the strings make notes. Well, I guess that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.